Hello students. Today we will learn about the skill of introduction or skill of set induction as part of micro teaching skills. So the skill of introduction, set induction or introduction. Why do we call it a skill of set induction? It means that we as a teacher have a responsibility to induct our learners into the topic. And for that, we need to remind them what are the knowledge, what are the things they already know about the topic before coming to the class. So here we have listed what are the basic purposes of the skill of introduction. The first one is to draw attention and interest of the student. The student should be attentive towards the topic and the student is interested. The second is to induce readiness to learn about the topic. The topic the students are going to learn today, they are now ready to learn it. And the third, to bring the knowledge already acquired by the student to conscious level. As we understand that the information, knowledge, experiences we have gained through the time as all are always presented at our subconscious level. So before starting the class, we need to make our learner aware of the contents relating to the topic they already have some experience or knowledge about. Along with these things, we also should understand one misconception about the skill of introduction. As you can see, I have not mentioned about testing the learner's previous knowledge. This is a common misconception that the questions asked at the beginning of the lesson is for testing the knowledge or previous knowledge of the learners. This is one of the mistakes students generally do, and even during the interview time with some schools or somewhere, when they are asked, they readily tell this, we ask question to test the previous knowledge of the learner. This is completely wrong concept because previous knowledge of the learner should be determined right at the beginning of the planning process, not in the class. Before you start setting up your content to be delivered in the class, you should already be knowing about the content the student has have already acquired during their previous classes or in their day-to-day experiences. With this, we move to the second part where we will determine what are the desirable behavior and undesirable behavior. So, as a part of desirable behavior, the learner's previous knowledge should be used. So whatever planning you are going to do, uh, and whatever device you are going to use for introduction activity, the previous knowledge should be used. As a part of your lesson planning, you have to write about the student's previous knowledge, and then you write about your introduction in your lesson plan. So these two parts are interlinked. Whatever things you write in your student's previous knowledge section should reflect in the activity or questions that you ask during the introduction. And it should clarify that the students are aware of certain things related to topic and the teacher is asking the questions that is related to their previous experience. That is what we mean by using previous knowledge. So second behavior or second thing is using appropriate device. So using appropriate device means As you can see the list given here: questioning, use of examples, storytelling, audiovisual aids, experimentation or demonstration, lecturing or describing, role playing, dramatizing. These are the devices to be used during the introduction or set induction. Generally, we use questioning device when we understand that learners have already acquired a certain cognitive level relating to the topic. So a student must have certain information, understanding, reflections to share as a part of the questions to ask. Generally, we ask questions in a zigzag format. What is zigzag format? Zigzag format is when you ask a question, a student responds. The student's response should be the base of the next question. When you create your next question, the answer of that question is also known to you. And when a students answer that question or the answer you are expecting, you move to your third question based on the answer of the second question. So like this, question, answer, again, from answer to question, question to answer, again, from answer to question, and question to answer. So this cycle goes on till you reach maximum 5-6 questions, and then you make the statement of aim, and that is the name of the topic, and you write it on the blackboard along with the writer. If it is a language class, then you write down name of the poet or the writer of the topic also. So other than questioning, there are also other devices like use of examples. So as you can understand, the use of example is to give examples from real life, from media coverage, or from anywhere about which learners are aware. And those examples can serve as induction to the topic, as the learners will be reminded about the content they are going to learn and the things they know about that content. Similarly, the other way of inducting the learners is storytelling. That is for creating an environment, especially relating to the topic, that has some affective elements or important affective elements. So there we can use storytelling. So storytelling, some people can think that it is mainly for language or social science teaching, but we can also use it in science teaching, as you can relate some of the stories about the discoveries, about the scientists, and there are many ways you can also create stories related to the values of science. Then we have the third or the fourth device, that is audiovisual aids. So that means videos or animations, audios, any of these that can be used to bring the learners to the situation, environment, or places relating to the topic. For example, during teaching a geography, if you are uh, teaching about some geographical phenomena, a video can help, because generally those phenomena are at far away place and it is out of the learner's imagination, though through media they are now exposed to many of the things. So it is always your call as a teacher what the learners should see as a audiovisual aids. Then we have experimentation or demonstration. Generally, we use it for uh, science classes, and in those science classes, you can demonstrate certain experiments. Some low-cost teaching aids also can be used. Then we use, then we start with lecturing or describing. You should always keep in mind, lecturing and describing doesn't mean that you start teaching about the topic or something that is part of your specific objective. That is not a part of lecturing or describing. Here, lecturing and describing is basically creating a cognitive structure or cognitive environment to introduce a complex or more complicated things to the learners. Then lastly, we have playing or dramatization. This is a learner-centric activity. In this, the learners participate in introduction or induction activity. Some of them play roles to present a story or a situation that is related to the topic. So these are the devices. And when uh, your peer supervisor is going to evaluate your introduction skill, they are going to use or determine whether you are using these devices in appropriate way or not. So from this we come to the undesirable behavior. The first undesirable behavior is lack of continuity. Whatever thing you are doing, from getting into the class, your activity should be in continuity. A student should not feel that it is a quiz kind of thing where randomly questions are being asked, or the activities they are completely uh, unrelated to each other, or at least a student cannot make out what are the interconnections. So that should not happen. Similarly, you should not make irrelevant statement or ask irrelevant questions. So these are undesirable behaviors. So as uh, you have to make a report of your, uh, sorry, you have to make a plan of your micro teaching. In that, the structure for micro teaching of introduction skill is given here. The initial information about the topic and the student, his classroom identity, institutional identity, date, time should be given. Then the activities done by the teacher should be listed in left side, and activities or the response by the students should be written on the right side. The teacher, if they are conducting a student-centric activity like role playing, then the teacher can write simply that a student will be doing a role play. But always, whenever a certain kind of activity like role play or video is done, it should be followed up with questions relating to the activity or the video. And those questions are mostly reflective in nature. So here, when you set your questions, the student keep their response or reflection, and those reflection will remind them their knowledge about the situation or experiences they have about the topic. So from this, we have the next thing, that is the rating scale for a skill of introduction. As you can see, we have or a 7-point rating scale starting from 0 to 6. In this rating scale, we have First point as previous knowledge. We have already discussed about it, previous knowledge. Second is device used, appropriateness. The peer supervisor will determine or describe the appropriateness of the device used. That means he will mark you from 0 to 6, and if it is not appropriate in comments, he will or she will make her observations. Then regarding the continuity, a statement and questions relevance, interest arose in the students, and motivation. These two are related things. Interest means uh, students are responding properly. Many hands goes up when you ask questions. Motivation is the attention you are able to draw towards your topic. The students are ready for learning now. They bring out their pen and copy, and they have started noting down the name of the topic. So like that, you can your supervisor will decide about the elements of the skill of introduction. So again, if you need to do the reteaching or correcting the or bettering your introduction skill, the same structure will follow with only change in the title, that it will be reteaching. So with this, let me conclude. For a skill of introduction, you have to be aware of using previous knowledge in proper way for selecting your device and designing the activity uh, for questioning or student-based activities. You should be maintaining the continuity and avoid irrelevant statements. And you should always keep in mind that this is not the time to test or check learners' previous knowledge. Thank you.